Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Craig. This is where we talk about all things that are happening in the world and take a spiritual slant on it, to give some idea about what's going on in the world and what can we do from a spiritual point of view. And I give my psychic insights and so forth, take your comments, which are particularly interesting, and try to get to the bottom of things. And particularly today, I'm going to talk about these mysterious drones that are appearing in England, in Germany, in America. What is going on? Is it an alien invasion? Is this Mars attacks? Or is there something a bit more subtle behind all this? So, welcome to Coffee with Craig. Well, welcome to the show again. And if you're here for the first time, do remember to subscribe. And if you're here for the umpteenth time, give us a thumbs up every time, please, because it helps the algorithm, because we're all guided by this artificial intelligence now, and what you watch is determined by that. So give it a thumbs up and you're more likely to see my videos and help them go up the algorithm. Okay, so we're going to talk about today my take on these drones that are appearing. I mean, we've seen them here in England. That's what I think they first appeared here in England over American bases, I'll add, and also similarly in Germany and now all across the USA. And of course, this raises an awful lot of questions. Why on earth are they out there? So I'm doing this video today because so many of you put in the comments, asked me about it. I thought, well, I can't answer them in the comments, so I'll answer them here on a video, and I'll give you my take on what I think's going on. So the first thing we have to ask is, are they alien drones? Obviously, that's what people are going to be asking. I mean, Dr. Stephen Greer is well into all this type of stuff. If you've not watched his stuff, been putting up some thoughts about this, and I think there is some element of UFOs involved with this, or UAPs as we should call them now, unidentified aerial phenomena. Is more like the right thing, but we've been getting gradually a little bit of disclosure, haven't we, about what goes on in the alien world. We've had people talking very publicly now, and investigations going on to the gradual sort of rollout and some disclosure about what we do know about whether we've been contacted by aliens or not. And obviously there's still a long way to go. And one of the most important factors, I think, in the whole UFO thing is going to be Trump, because he's kind of perhaps almost naively said, I'm going to reveal what's in the files. I'm sure people who have been hiding this stuff for years are probably up in arms thinking, oh my God, he's going to reveal this stuff. What are we going to do about it? And maybe this is some sort of soft disclosure, get us used to the idea that there could be UFOs, get it in the press, get the press talking about it. Nothing better at a quiet time of year during the December period, where it's mainly usually news. Christmassy sort of news, and not that big news going on because the courts are shut, the politicians are all going home for Christmas, and apart from tsunamis like we had, and what happened in France, French islands, the news is usually quite quiet at this time of year. So it's a good time to put something out there if you want to get full exposure in the press. To be honest, there's not been that much here in the UK. I mean, they were kind of mentioned almost just briefly on Sky News. Not much, Sky News is much good, but even if you go and look at something like Reuters, which gives you more sensible sort of actual news as opposed to speculative news, there's not been that much put out there. But obviously the internet's lit up about this, and because there's obviously, are we being prepped? Are we being prepared for something? Are they trying to get us used to the idea, and gradually reveal some information about, still call them UFOs, I still will, but that we've had some contact, perhaps. Perhaps this is because there's going to be some bigger dramatic revelation ahead. And that dramatic revelation might be something that Trump's going to open up for us, because who knows what's in those files? I mean, we've all been really fed up about the way we're fed fake news all the time, and the way we're sort of expected to believe. It's not what we're told, it's what we're not told. I suppose it's important. Often on the news, I look at stuff and think, well, they haven't mentioned that subject or that subject, as if they just ignore it because it's not relevant. And yet it's probably the most relevant stuff. So often with so many topics you can think about, particularly politics. So what narrative are they pushing? Is there likely to be a big reveal? Is there something, perhaps the Area 51 stuff, the alien corpses and things like that? Is that likely to be revealed soon? Trump said he would open the files. So, before he gets in power, do we need to do something now? Suddenly start giving some more information so that we haven't been hiding this. Here it is, So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? So first thing, is it UFOs? And I think most people looking at the phenomena itself would probably say, well, it's questionable that it would be, something from another planet. Reasons being, why have such bright lights? Why? And they've got the red lights and the green lights, like we use red and green forward and backwards on objects. So they're probably standard drones, been hovering over populated areas. So it makes you wonder, why is it done like this? Why isn't it kept more secret? Why is it so in plain sight? Why is there no attempt to cover them up? So if it's a military thing, we have to question, well, what's going on there? Why would the military allow these things to be over their own sites? Supposing these are American drones, they're over American sites in the UK, American sites in Germany, and of course American sites in America. Gives me the feeling they're probably our own, as it were, or America's own. Perhaps again, there's some other reason that they're trying to put them up there. If they were from China, my first thought when I saw them was that these are from China. Because you remember the hot air balloons and the trouble that they caused, as they've put hot air balloons flying across America, mapping America, gathering God knows what information. China's one of the worst countries for stealing information and secretly mapping stuff and getting as much information as possible. Could that be a warning? Could that be a potential threat to us if they were a Chinese drones? I mean, it's a scenario you could think about. They're big drones, so they're not going to be sort of like the normal domestic type of drone. But if you had a number of operatives working in each country, all with drones in 4 or 5 locations near military bases, and you all simultaneously put drones up together, it would be pretty hard to track them. So I remember the one here, it was about a year or so ago, wasn't it? When did it happen? I don't know, but there was the Heathrow, London Heathrow was shut down for ages for 1 or 2 lone drones, which appeared to come from just ordinary operators that were causing trouble with them. But they had to shut the whole airport down, didn't they? And you could bring the whole country to a standstill on the sort of aviation side of things by having a limited number of drones going through commercial airports. You could shut down American bases with drones. And drones, of course, as the problem is, what can they carry? We're seeing them we're seeing in the UK, in the Ukraine, and the UK perhaps in time, in Ukraine being used as a method of warfare, both for spotting the troops of the other side, but also they can be used, of course, to drop bombs and become sort of kamikaze type aircraft. But they could also see dirty bombs. Something like a drone could drop waste radioactive material and make an American airbase unusable because it becomes too radioactive and impossible to clean up pretty well because it gets into everything. So is this possible something from China or Russia, who have constantly buzzing our systems? Um, and there's been an awful lot, hasn't there's been an awful lot of um, unusual IT outages recently, I've noticed as well. Makes you wonder what's going on there. Both in, I think it was Manchester Airport came down recently with IT outages. Why airports all of a sudden getting hit by these things as well? I don't know whether there's been any of that similar stuff in America, in USA, but again, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Has there been some threat from Russia or China or even South Korea or all three of them together doing some form of clandestine attack on countries just to say, look, this is what we're capable of. We can shut down your air force. Now they've not shot them down though. And I would have thought a drone, although difficult to shoot down, and difficult to trace sometimes, particularly if you've got multiple operatives, perhaps switching drones between each other. But even so, it would seem unusual that you would need to not shoot them down, which makes me think that, well, are they America's drones? Are they American drones that are being used? And why use them? Who would benefit from doing this? Is this some test military thing? But if it was some test normal military thing, you wouldn't want to sort of create such a lot of fear in the public with this. And even the authorities are saying, oh, we don't know what they are. What the hell's going on? And senators in America have been asking questions about what's going on. Or is this some different thing? Are we missing the point? And could this be some form of psychological sort of warfare? A warfare on our own people, as it were, tested out in the UK, tested out in Germany, and then roll it out in full in the United States. Get people talking about it on Twitter, get people perhaps preparing themselves to the idea of an alien invasion of some sort, a fake alien invasion, something that could be used just to promote fear, something that could be used to restrict public freedoms, just as perhaps you could argue that COVID was used as a way to restrict public freedoms. If you give people a bigger threat, it says, well, okay, well, we need to sort of clamp down. There's a serious things going on here. We're having a drone attack from China, or we're having a drone attack from outer space. Either way, these things could be used to restrict freedoms, couldn't they? The idea of a big threat means that we've got to instigate big rules. And could that be happening now? Maybe by the Biden administration, maybe as a prelude by them to try to stop Trump coming in January 20th. Who knows? It could be something like that, couldn't it? I mean, all I'm able to do is raise a lot of questions at the moment. And it makes you wonder because, you have to question, is this here to remove freedoms? Why do this? Who would benefit? Immediately, I think comes to mind defense contractors, doesn't it? Defense contractors would say, all right, we need special systems to shoot down drones, or we need special systems to target other countries we need clandestine drone warfare. Who knows? You have to question why. You have to question who benefits. And of course, the most important thing, you have to be realistic, because these unexpected things like this could raise so many questions that we all end up in a complete confusion with it and get lost in conspiracy theories, which would be the wrong way to go with it. So what's my conclusion? Well, let's have your conclusions first. Let's have your conclusions in the comments, please. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know, are these drones American drones? And if so, why? Or why not? Are they Chinese drones? And the Chinese are big manufacturers of drones. Are they perhaps Chinese drones coming in to spy and in preparation for maybe a war, maybe Taiwan, maybe the conflicts there? Are they a deep state type of plan to instill fear and take away more freedoms? Or are they something that's from preparing us for a big disclosure about UFOs? I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Those are my thoughts about these are the options with what it can be. I think ultimately, I think they're American-owned drones. I think you have to who owns them? I think they are owned by the American military. Why put them up? That's the big question. That's the big question. And I don't think I can answer that. Why put them up? Why do it? If they're our own, are we testing a system? A crazy way to test a system. Are we? Is it a defense system or is it an attack system? Is it an attack system from somewhere else? Is it a threat from China and they're just too scared to say that we can't combat this? We don't have the technology to stop them? Or is it some other thing? I think we will get some revelation in due course. But, I think the most important thing is when these things happen, we have to be realistic. We have to look behind the headlines. This is revealed at a time that I think is so interesting because December time, when this happens, is, like I say, a time of usually quite dead news. So it's a good time to put something like this up. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm sorry, I can't give you a complete conclusion, but my feeling is they are owned. They're American owned. That's my thoughts. Now, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments. I'm really interested to what you think. And like I say, we've had not that much news here in the UK about it. And I know it's all over the place on X and things like that. So I'd really like you to share your thoughts and share your feelings. But I think, or is this just something that's just out there to give us anxiety? I don't think it's as I don't know. I just don't know how to answer that. Okay, just to update you on something, a thought that's come to me, and I've just republished this video and just put in this little clip in here because having read some of your comments, something came to me which I feel is important, and it could explain why we have these drones all over America at the moment. It might not be anything to do with UFOs. It might not be anything to do with creating worries and fears and the rest of it and the deep state stuff that I saw. Could it be a defensive move? Could America be under threat of some sort? How are the drones up there to try to spot something? Maybe spot somebody with a spy or spot a possible terrorist attack. Could America be under threat from a serious terrorist attack that is focused somehow on some American base? I talked about drones being used for something like dirty bombs. Could there be some terrifying Christmas threat that's been set up by some rogue state? That's my thoughts. I certainly believe that there are alien creatures that, that other planets are inhabited around maybe even the solar system. There may be something there on some of the some life forms on some of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn and so forth, and even far out and Uranus and places. And who knows? I think life is prevalent everywhere. And when you look at the history of how life developed on this planet, I mean, so many times it was nearly completely wiped out, and yet was enormously resilient, which means it can be enormously resilient in other environments, I'm sure. So yes, so and the Nadis, talk about life on other planets sometimes. The Nadi oracles talk about life on other planets and say it without, and these were written, if you understand the Nadis, these are the ancient oracle palm leaves that I tell people about that have the history of all life in it. But often, although it's telling a person's personal history in the Nadis, they sometimes reveal things about earlier ages and things like that. And that's where I find it really fascinating, when we get clues and hints of what happened in the ancient past. And they talk sometimes about the Naga, which are the snake people. So it seems to suggest that we've had a visitation long ago. And I don't know if anybody here has had anything unusual come up in their Nadis when they've been through my website to find out about their personal Nadis. I'd be really interested. You can contact me directly, or you can put a comment. Have you had anything that hints at ancient past, or hints at any ancient lives, or anything unusual that's kind of hinted at there? And that's not just the Nadis we do here with Dr. Q, but some of the Nadis I've done with other Naadi readers. I've introduced some of you to them before. So that's all that I'd be interested to know what what you said about that. I did cover some of the things that were said in my book, actually, Messages from the Universe. I'm going to give it a plug because this is a good time of year to plug my book. Sorry, but Messages from the Universe. That's my favorite of. The camera went. The camera didn't like it. That's my favorite of my book, Messages from the Universe. It tells the story of Jane and myself and our lives and how the Naadi turned things around. There's 2 sequels to it, actually, which is Mystic Journey to India as well, and also Be Happy. They kind of follow on, taking that Naadi theme throughout. That, you know, that I mentioned in there about the Naadi's references to alien forces and things like that, and life on other planets and reincarnations on other planets. Raises so many interesting questions. Anyway, I'm going on far too much now, but hopefully go and have a look at that. It's all on the website. You can find it all on the description, a link in the description below, and you find out all about that. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm really keen to see what your comments are going to be on this. All right, thanks for joining for Coffee with Craig. See you again soon. I'll try to make some more prediction videos as we come up to the new year. Okay, see you soon. Bye for now.
If you look back at my earlier predictions, and in particular the predictions I made on the newspaper, The Sun's website, I did actually say on there, the actual words were, there will be a flu epidemic linked to bioterrorism.
And my thoughts are that Liz Truss will make it to the final, be the next PM. I think she will actually have a final battle between her and Rishi Sunak. We've not seen the full end of Boris Johnson either, I tell you. But Rishi Sunak actually will eventually, I feel, be the next leader of the Conservatives. So I think there's going to be a few conflicts that Britain's going to be drawn into, including I think Russia is going to take some moves against Ukraine.
I think she will make it past her platinum jubilee, which comes up this year. But I think after that, we'll see a sudden and quick deterioration in the Queen's health. And I think we might lose the Queen towards the end of 2022. There's going to be a huge backlash from over the Netflix programs and screening, because I feel it comes out at a bad time. Charles will come to become King Charles, but his reign, I feel, will be short.
I said that Prince Charles would be hit by an egg. And of course, there it is, all in the press today. Marvellous person she is. She does something extraordinary. That could even put her life a little bit at risk with the way she did this. Okay.
Is there something also there that's not been spoken about fully? Did they also discover something with Kate that wasn't quite right?
A huge swarm of people knocking the doors of Europe and America. And I feel that Ukraine conflict is going to be a kind of a grinding conflict that goes on and on. I also feel that there's something going to happen in the Middle East as well. I feel as if there's going to be a sudden and unexpected thing happen in the Middle East. So I feel they're going to take it into their own hands, and I feel we're going to get a strike from Israel. This is going to be one of the significant things in 2023.
I've said it before and I say it again. I feel Israel, with the help from the USA, will strike the Iranian nuclear facilities.
I said that there would be an earthquake that would shake New York.
At this time, I've been sensing that for a while that there's going to be a big earthquake of some sort. And this could well come up during April period.
I'm seeing a bridge collapsing, actually the whole infrastructure of it going.
I predict something very dark happens to President Joe Biden. He's been pulled from power, sacked, as it were, and quite close to the election time. But I kind of sense it's more to do with illness, perhaps, senility, and people stopping him because of that. So it could even be that a new candidate will run for the presidential nominee. I predict that Trump will win the November 2024 election. And I feel very strongly that the black vote is going to move towards Trump. See him as a sort of a bit of a cool guy. I can't see Trump being put in jail despite what they're throwing at him. I can't see a jail sentence with him. But I get the feeling one of the candidates has an attempt on the candidate's life. Could there have been a plan to assassinate either him or Trump, perhaps? There's going to be an assassination attempt on Trump, I think. And that will fail. But he might maybe get wounded or something like that.